Hello, I'm Master Lloyd Eldred. I'm from the Kingdom of Atlantia, and I've been doing some data collection on SCA Rapier Field force generation. And to do that, I created this data collection machine here. We did a lot of data collection at PennSIC 43 a couple years ago, and there has been interest from the society level on collecting data on a wider basis across more of the society. So the machine will be traveling around the country over the next couple of months, collecting data at different events. This video is intended for our sponsors, our people who are collecting that data at the different events, since I can't be at all of them, so that everybody is doing things consistently and in the right way, so all the data is as valid as possible. So let me explain the machine a tiny bit here. Here's the Mark V version of the machine. We did a lot of development with a lot of different versions, and we ended up with this. The basic idea is the fencer is told to hit this target, contacting the red stripe. I'll show that in more detail in a moment. The center of that target is at the same distance from the axle as this hook. So in sense of moment or torque, we're not generating any advantage. So the force that's being generated here is the same that's being pulling on the scale at the bottom. We have a 100-pound scale here on the bottom, and it has a slider that will record the maximum force that the machine saw. So if I apply some force and then it's relaxed, you can come and read the scale. So we'll show that in more detail too. But that's the basic idea of this machine. You clamp it down to a picnic table, and you have people hit it with your rapier weapons to record the forces they're generating. All right, I'm going to talk about what you need to do to run a test, what you need to have in hand, and how to assemble the machine. So the machine will come packed down, broken down like this, hopefully all packed up and intact. I was asked what the dimensions were, and if you need to pack it back up, the baseboard is 24 inches long, it's 7 inches wide, and packed down it's about 5 inches tall. So you need a little bit more space than that because of the hook on the scale, but that's the basic dimensions. All right, in addition to the machine, which I will ship you, you need some clamps. These are 3-inch clamps, 3-inch C-clamps. To hold it down to a table. Depending on the table, you may need something a little bit bigger. For instance, if I want to catch it on the edge of this table, this 3-inch clamp is not big enough. So I'm actually going to end up clamping here where the table is a little bit thinner, and the 3-inch clamp will work just fine. In addition to that, you will need a clipboard and a pen and a data collection form. These forms are available on PDF on the machine website, so please print a fair number of them. I think there are 35 lines per form, so 2 or 3 copies will probably do you, but maybe print 5 or 6 just so you have some extra. In addition, I will snail mail our sponsors, people who are hosting data collection, copies of this business card, which gives the machine website, so that when you're talking to people during data collection and they're interested in the results or interested in learning more, this is where they need to go, and the business card will really help them with doing that. So you'll have that. All right, so let me talk about assembling the machine. When you get it, hopefully you will have the action arm, the movable part here, with the main axle screwed into it. On the axle will be 4 washers and a wing nut. So undo the wing nut, take the washers off, take the pin out. The action arm has 2 holes. The higher one, the one with the black circle around it, is the one you want to use. The lower one was a mistake while we were developing the machine, so we used the higher one. So once you have the pin available, you rotate the support arms up, and you start working it through the holes. So you get it through 2 holes, put 2 washers on, and it's time to put the action arm on. You need to hook the eye hook in the bottom through the hook on the scale, and make sure the target is facing away from the end of the scale, and then you can work the pin through the upper holes, put your remaining 2 washers on, and go through the legs on the other side. The last leg does not line up exactly perfectly. You've gone through 5 different pieces of aluminum 1 by 1 bar, so you can use a hammer to encourage it to finish going through. There we go, I got it. Put the wing nut on, and you are ready to go. It does not have to be really snug. You want things to be able to move a little bit, so that you should be ready to go. All right, I want to talk very briefly about mounting the machine. You want to be able to clamp it down onto your picnic table or other sturdy surface as well as you can. I like to clamp at 3 different points if possible: front, back, and side. This particular table is not particularly well suited, so I was not able to do it ideally, but I do have a clamp at the back, a clamp at the front, and I would like to be able to have a clamp on this side so it can't rotate, but the table's too thick for the clamp that we have. So if you can bring a thicker clamp or 2 to allow you to deal with a variety of tables you may encounter, that would be good. But for this point, for the little limited demonstration we're doing, I think this will be fine. All right, I want to talk about how you actually record and what you do with a strike here. So because of the way this works, we want to minimize the difference in height that the strike, the force that's being applied to the machine, is above the axle, and we want that to be as consistent as possible with the distance from the axle to the scale. So that middle bolt on the target is at the same distance from the axle as the scale is. So I've painted a 1-inch tall red stripe down the center, a horizontal stripe down the center of the target. And what I want you to do is have your subject tell you when their strike has contacted that red stripe or not, and only record ones that contact the red stripe. Now that does not mean that they have to be entirely within the red stripe. We can count strikes like this where the red stripe is partially under the tip, or only barely under the tip here. I'm just barely touching it with my dagger tip here. But we don't want to record things that are entirely in the white or the beige part of the target, because that will give you too much error in your force recording. If you hit high, it'll record. You'll get too much force recorded, and if you hit low, you'll get too little force recorded relative to what they actually did. So left to right doesn't matter. They can hit over here, they can hit over here. That's not going to change the force that's recorded. It's the vertical distance that matters. All right, so once you get a valid hit, and I'm going to give it a good shove here, you come down over to the scale and you look at the slider. All right, so here's a close-up of the scale. We've had a strike that we want to record get hit, and we look at the slider here, and the high line here is lined up with 30. So 30 pounds is what we're going to write down for this value. Once we've written it down, you reset it to 0 before the next test sample is done. If someone throws a strike and they did not hit the red stripe, they did not contact the red stripe, then you just reset it and don't record the data. And the final thing is, once you have a valid force value, please take this form and record the fighter's name, his kingdom, the value of the force. We're going to do 3 samples for each type of strike we're doing, and then any comments you have over here. The comments we're particularly interested in are for spear users, how experienced they are. If they're an authorized spear user from one of the few kingdoms that does spear, that would be great to capture, so we can compare the authorized spear users from the newer spear users and how much having that experience matters. All right, now I want to talk about what you should ask your subjects to do. What we're after them doing is delivering a normal combat blow, something that represents what they would actually throw in a tournament or a melee. Now what that means is we want them to be moving, and we want the power that they hit the target with to be some indication of their skill and their training. We do not want them to set up with their practice ranging shots such that, you know, their extension, at full extension, they just barely move to the target, and because that is cheating. It's going to inadvertently game how the scale works. Because if I'm sitting here and the maximum I can move that target is 1/2 inch, because that's full arm extension, then the maximum we're going to record is 12.5 pounds, and that's not accurate. That's not what the person would actually be doing in a fight. So we want them in stance, we want them moving a little bit, and then we want them to actually throw a shot. And we want their skill and their power to be controlled by their training. So what we want people to do is generate, ideally, 3 sets of samples at their normal combat speed, and then 3 samples at hard blow with their normal sword, and then 3 normal combat speed shots with a spear. We are not doing hard blows with a spear because I'm afraid that could break the machine. So we won't be doing it at this point. We'll be estimating what hard blows with a spear are based on what hard blows with a sword are. So for their sword, they can use their rapier or a 2-handed sword, whatever they normally use on the combat field. We would like to get as much variety as possible. If you have weapons to loan them, that's fine. If they have their own weapons, that's fine too. So for normal blow, we want them to be moving and generating a shot that represents how they would actually throw a shot. For hard blow, we do not want them to do a running, leaping, charging blow. What we want them to do is the same combat shot, but instead of pulling the shot when they feel like they've generated enough force, we want them to continue the blow. So we're trying to simulate some kind of an accidental hard shot. Not a ridiculous maximum shot, but just a normal, something happened, the person moved into the shot, that kind of thing. So we want a little bit harder and try to get a value for what that is. So record 3 of the hard shots, and then if the person is willing to, record 3 shots with a spear. And the spear, again, should be just normal power. A couple more instructions for running a test. Please allow people a chance to do ranging shots to just get a feel for how the sword moves and how the machine works. Don't record those, but just allow them to take a few shots to get a feel for what the machine acts like and how it feels with their weapon. The other thing I wanted to mention is please during the test don't give the subject feedback on what their forces are like. Please don't comment, wow, that was high or whatever while they're generating data. Once they're done, they can come over and look at the results and compare that to other people. But please during the test don't bias things. Let them hit with the force they feel is appropriate. All right, the last thing we're going to do today is I'm going to show you a sample test collection scenario. So I'm going to throw the actual blows. We're not going to actually record the information, but I will go over and reset the scale a couple of times so you get the flow of what we're doing. So I'm lined up. I've got my normal melee and tournament sword in my hand, and I'm going to try to hit that target 3 times with normal blows on and contact the red stripe. So that was a little high. We've reset. That just barely contacted the red bar, so we record that. That's about 25 pounds. That was low. We reset. Low again. You should expect this. It's going to take people a little bit of time to hit that red stripe. That didn't do anything. High. All right, there was a good one. We'd record that data after hopefully having reset it. All right, so we'll do that 3 times. We'll record data. There's a good strike. You'll probably have the subject telling you whether he contacted the red stripe or not. You record 3 of those. Then you'll reset and you'll ask them to hit the target hard again with the same weapon, same movement, but what they're doing now is not pulling the shot. So this is a new test for us. We haven't done this before, so we'll see how this works. So that was a hard blow. I didn't back off after I made the contact. And there my force was 35 pounds, so 10 pounds higher than the one I noted before. All right, so we do that 3 times, resetting, recording between each one. All right, once you're done with that, you ask the person if they would like to do a spear test. So I'm going to demonstrate that. I'm going to pick up a spear and demonstrate that. All right, here I have my Alchem spear. These are one of the designs that have been improved for SCA use in some kingdoms. And we're going to try to hit that target 3 times with this. Now, we're much further away. It's going to be difficult to hit the target. And it's going to vary, the difficulty is going to vary on how I'm holding the spear. So I very carefully during the PINSIC 43 data collection did not bias the results by telling people how to hold their spear, and I encourage you not to do that either. We're just trying to get a sample of what people are doing. The thing that I found out was that it really made a difference whether I was holding it horizontal, or I was holding the blade vertically like this, which gave me a lot of point control, but also hit harder, versus this way, which hits a lot softer, but now I don't have the point control, and it's very difficult to hit the red stripe this way. So see what people are doing. Give me some feedback on that, but please don't give the fencer feedback on how they're supposed to hold the sword. So what we're after with a spear is just controlled combat blows, so something that represents what they would actually be throwing on the field. We don't want to bias how they're holding things. You can specify that their hands are not supposed to move if that's what the current society rule is, but we want to represent exactly what they're doing as well as we can. So we want to set up and we want to generate 3 blows, and I missed there. So there was a good blow that was probably fairly hard. I see 55 pounds on the scale, so reasonably hard strike. That one was high. I would reset, and we did this until we get three good strikes. There I hit the red stripe. We'd record that one. All right, so that's the basic idea with the spear. Good luck. Thank you for volunteering to run experiments for me, and hopefully the society will learn, and we'll generate good data and be able to use that to specify what armor we need to use in order to be safe. Thanks.